I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. Shouldn't be trusting me, I could be making it all up, you know. Out of control, you don't know me. I'm a danger to myself.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys had a great week and a great weekend. Again, I apologize for the delay in videos as I put on my community page. I am having a little health issue. I had something removed from my face that it looked to be a squamous cell carcinoma, and I have had it removed before. I just had it kind of burnt off with that nitrogen, and after 10 years, it never came back. Boom, he came back a couple months ago. I noticed kind of the same thing I noticed before. No one else could see it. Obviously, you guys never noticed it, but it was there. And so I finally, after a lot of running around and craziness, had to go down to the city and get this taken care of. And it took me a couple months to get into the dermatologist and everything. It's just a mess. But they removed some of it, or what they could see of it, and they're biopsying it, and I should find out this week what's going to happen. So I really, really hope that it either comes back negative, or it comes back that it is either more of a pre-cancer than an actual cancer. I'm scared. So I've been preoccupied with that. When I have a health thing going on, I tend to get very myopic, and all I can do is think about that. And that I made the mistake of going on Google and seeing how squamous cell carcinoma can spread and all of this stuff. And while there are positive aspects to it, there's also negative. And of course, I tend to focus on more negative if I allow myself to. So I'm just going to keep my mind busy and get on into this. If you are new here, welcome. To my current subscribers, thank you guys so much for continuing to be supportive and watch my videos, and your commenting, and just all your well wishes and your amazing communication with me. I really enjoy it. First, we're going to talk about what's going on with Homer LaFoon and James Tupper in court. But I told you guys in my last video that I had a surprise for you, and that you probably knew what it was. What it is that Anne had a new memoir scheduled to be released, and it is still scheduled to be released on January 24th of 2022. And I think that is very important, and you guys are smart, so you probably already realize why it's important. And we're going to get into all of that. Let's just start with Homer and James. So back in August, Homer, Anne's oldest son, who is 20 years old, filed a petition to be named administrator of an estate after she passed away without having a will. Homer also filed to be guardian ad litem for his younger brother Atlas, who's 13 years old. And I found that to be strange because Atlas has a father, so why wouldn't James Tupper, who is Atlas's father, why wouldn't James Tupper be the guardian? Why would Homer have even filed for that? I found that to be weird from the start, and maybe we'll find out some more about this as court goes on, but according to court documents, the two boys are the only two heirs of their mother's estate. However, James Tupper has come forward, and he has claimed that Anne did have a will, and that it named him as the executor. He also claimed that she emailed it to him back in 2011. I just want to point out that back in 2011, Homer was only 9 years old and Alice was just 3. So this will would make sense at the time back in 2011. However, I could only imagine that it would have been updated at some point after the children were older. But nevertheless, let's hear what Anne wrote in this alleged email to James Tupper back in 2011. Quote, "My wishes are that all of my assets go to the control of Mr. James Tupper to be used to raise my children and then given to the children. They will be divided equally among our children, currently Homer Heche LaFoon and Atlas Heche Tupper, and their portion given to each when they are the age of 25. When the last child turns 25, any house or other properties owned may be sold and the money divided equally among our children." Unquote. According to the document James Tupper filed with the court, James said that, quote, "Homer was not suitable for appointment as personal representative of this estate," unquote. He also went on to say that, quote, the person in charge of the estate should be someone with more experience and sophistication. He is only 20 years old, unemployed, and was estranged from Anne at the time of her death due to his dropping out of university studies and not working to support himself, unquote. James also questioned whether Homer had his little brother's best interests in mind when filing this petition. He brought up an incident where Homer agreed to attend grief counseling with Atlas, but Atlas was left waiting for him when he didn't show up. On a separate occasion, he also agreed to meet Atlas and James for dinner, but never showed up to that either, and they waited an hour and a half. James has suggested that they hire a third-party professional fiduciary to manage it, though he has no issue with personally handling the estate. It is not his first choice, he has said. James also noted in the petition that, quote, there's no urgent need to appoint a special administrator at this time, unquote. Homer is claiming otherwise. Homer argued that the publishing of Anne's new memoir, titled Call Me Anne, was urgent reason to appoint an estate administrator. Excuse me, wait, what? What was that? Hold the phone. Did you just say she was doing a second memoir at the time of her death? Oh my God, you guys. Now, after I read that, my mouth just dropped. I had not heard about her writing another memoir until this moment. I thought the movie Girl in Room 13 was where a lot of these rumors and speculation were coming from, but this new memoir is another project that Anne was working on that could have been very telling. Yet, she was gone before it was completed and would be released. Just like the movie she was working on, she was not able to see it to fruition. It was completed without her input. And her book now will be released without her final okay as well. This book is set to be released January 24th, and it's said to be a follow-up to her first memoir from 2001 titled Call Me Crazy, which we talked about in some of the first videos I put out on this. That was a memoir that detailed her rise to fame, and it also talked about a lot of private information about her family and her upbringing. It was full of her truth. According to the Amazon listing, the book Call Me Anne would touch on her relationship with Ellen, including the breakup and why, Harvey Weinstein, and her journey to self-acceptance, among other things, quote unquote. I wonder what these other things were. Anne had recently done an interview on her own podcast where she was asked about why she broke up with Ellen. I feel like her response was very cryptic. Basically what she said was, quote, we are responsible for seeking the truth. We are responsible for our own point of view. We aren't told enough that ours matters enough to question ourselves enough, unquote. And then she also said, quote, why would we ever try to bury somebody who spoke about love, unquote. She also said that the main reason for the breakup was that their truths were different. To live in love and kindness was not Ellen's goal. Anne had also made a comment about waiting 20 years to finally speak her truth. And her first memoir, Call Me Crazy, came out 20 years ago. I'm only speculating here when I say this, but I feel that there were going to be some bombshells dropped in this second memoir. It was said to be almost like a part 2 of her first book, a sequel. And one thing I have learned about Anne in all of this research is that she is a truth seeker and a truth teller. She is not ashamed to speak her truth. In regards to Homer's concern, Homer's lawyer, Brian Phipps, commented, legal documents speak for themselves. The court appointing Homer special administrator supports our decision to let the estate administration play out in court. Basically saying no deals are going to be made here. Homer's lawyer is confident that allowing this estate battle to play out in court will bring to light everything that needs to be brought to light to prove that his client, Homer, is deserving of what he has petitioned for. That'll be an interesting thing to watch play out. I'm interested to see what comes of it because I have a lot of questions, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video. So again, though, I've stuck on the memoir. So about this memoir, it was scheduled for release on January 24th, and it's still scheduled to be released on January 24th of 2022. Now, I can only imagine how much this book's going to cost because her first memoir is shot up to be over $750. This memoir memoir is going to have even more in it. My question is, how much now? And I asked the same question when it came to Girl in Room 13. How much were we supposed to get that we didn't get? Because I can guarantee you, we didn't get what Anne wanted us to. Not all of it. She submitted her memoir to her publisher shortly before her death. It was actually in May. She dedicated the book to her sons. START president Jared Weisfeld explained that the company is working with Anne's estate to, quote, finish the book, unquote. So there you have it. This book is going to be messed with. That's my opinion. They've already been hiding the truth by using LGBTQ as a distraction. They are saying that this book mainly talks about that topic. But if you've listened to Anne in any interview about her relationship with Ellen or her sexuality, you would hear that Anne Heche never referred to herself as a lesbian. Anne only had one female relationship in her whole life, and that was with Ellen. I haven't ever even heard her refer to herself as bisexual either. When asked, all she has ever said is that she believes that you fall in love with a person. She has never titled herself as anything LGBTQ. Just because she is supportive of the movement doesn't mean anything. I don't have a problem with LGBTQ movement. I have a problem with people forcing views on people and calling us horrible people if we don't quite understand why there has to be 300 different genders now. But I'm fine with the LGBTQ movement, and I'm straight. I'm just saying they're trying to kind of overshadow, I think, what the book was really meant to be about, because I think it only touches on that. I don't think it was mainly about that, but we'll see if we can believe what we read now, because now other hands have been on this, and she is not here to say they fucked with my book. They also bring up Harvey Weinstein. Many people had issues with Harvey Weinstein, I don't know. Of course, he denies all the allegations, just as he denies Anne's allegations. In my opinion, Anne would not have been this excited about a memoir coming out that talked about things that she has already talked about many, 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 many times. My gut feeling is that this book was going to have new information, new truths. And because of that gut feeling, I can't help but wonder if this memoir was a reason she's no longer here. Of course, they are going to publish it and put it out. They don't want it to look suspicious, but they also admitted it is being finished up by her estate, not her. Let me make clear, the full completed draft was submitted by Anne to her publisher. So the book was complete. But after giving it to the publisher, they go over things, look into things, fix errors, add things. None of that's being done by Anne. That's being done by other people. And that is very bothersome to me. Now let's get into this weird thing that happened to me that I mentioned briefly, and why I am going to move on from this. I had, while researching an angle on this case, I've made the decision to not really move forward on this as far as putting the pieces together for you guys anymore, because I feel like it may be red flagging or something. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but I had some weird shit happen last week, and because of that, I don't feel very comfortable digging much more into this. I am going to leave you with some questions that I have based off of what I've found so far. The first thing I would like to know is what they did with her car. I'd also like to know about this estrangement with Homer and her relationship with James Tupper at the time of her death. I would like to know why they canceled the investigation and why they never took any extra blood work for her toxicology like they said that they were going to do. They never redid her blood work. In my opinion, ruling this an accident would suggest that it was not DUI related. Another question I have is, doesn't the victim deserve to know what happened? I mean, if this were me, if someone plowed into my house, causing me to lose my home and all my memories and personal possessions that I can never get back, I would want to know what the hell happened. I mean, wouldn't you? I would want to know if it was truly an accident or if it were a DUI, because if it were a DUI, I would be suing the fuck out of Anne's estate. It was also brought to my attention in the comment section by a subscriber that Congresswoman Jackie Walorski died in a car crash on August 3rd, 2022, 1 week before Anne's crash. And this is significant because it has been going around that both Jackie Walorski and Anne Heche were in cahoots and working together on this. I have done just a small bit of digging, and while I can't find a significant connection between these two women, there's no social media connection or following, or I just cannot find any connections of these two together. I have obviously found evidence that they were both fighting for the same cause when it comes to this. Jackie Walorski was a Christian missionary in Romania who was cooperating in the investigation of this. And after she returned to the U.S., she was elected into Congress, and she sponsored the HT Prevention, Intervention, and Recovery Act of 2014. There is documentation to prove this. Jackie Walorski was in a car being driven by St. Joseph County Republican Party Chair Zachary Potts when the vehicle suddenly crossed the center line of a roadway on a clear day, crashing head-on into the vehicle of Edith Schumacher, killing both of them, along with Jackie and her communications manager, Emma Thompson. As to the cause of the vehicle crossing the center line of this roadway, it has been listed as, what do you know? Unknown. We can bring up Michael Hastings again and the eyewitness statement on his crash, which was, quote, early in the morning on June 18th, a brand new Mercedes C250 coupe was driving through the Melrose intersection on Highland Avenue in Hollywood when suddenly, out of nowhere, it sped up. The car accelerated rapidly, bounced several times, and then fishtailed out of control before it slammed into a palm tree and burst into flames, ejecting its engine some 200 feet away. We went over in the last video how common and easy it is to execute, quote, nearly undetectable assassinations, unquote, by taking control of a car's computer system. It does bear mentioning that an assassination order like this would have to come from we'll just say a powerful leader, a powerful person whom the FBI has already confirmed took naked showers with his young daughter in order to SA her. The FBI confirmed Ashley B's diary is authentic, and in it, she writes about being this word at a young age and taking, quote, inappropriate showers with her father, unquote. In the diary, it is quoted to say, was I this word? I think so. I can't remember specifics, but I do remember trauma. And it goes on. In the description box, I have provided some links for you to go do your own research, but I'd like to leave you with what I've been looking into that caused my computer scare. It caused my computer maps to basically glitch and malfunction. Okay, so while I was researching, I had to keep asking myself this same thing. And you guys have heard me ask this question in all of these videos. What was Anne Heche doing there in the first place? In that area. So I went into Maps and I opened it up and zoomed in and out, and I tried to see other things that were in that area of the wig shop and of the crash site. And one of the places I saw that was only 10 minutes away from both of these things was a Mini Cooper dealership and service center right in Santa Monica. I looked this specific dealership up and I found that it's the top Mini Cooper dealership and service center in LA. This obviously led me to ask the question, did she purchase her Mini Cooper from there? And is it possible she was in the area because she was having it serviced? Now, this is just a theory. Do we know what vehicle she was driving when she went to the wig shop? Is it possible she was driving a rental car while her car was being worked on? And when she got her car back, it was acting funny. So before heading out onto the 10, where, it'd be a lot more traffic and busyness, and if your car's acting crazy, like, do I need to bring it back to the dealership to figure out what the hell is going on? So before getting on 10 and possibly getting in a horrible accident, she's driving it around the neighborhood trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with it. It would certainly make sense as to why she was acting erratic in that apartment complex, and it would make sense as to why she was driving around that neighborhood so erratically. Because if you remember, another eyewitness had come forward saying she was speeding up and down Cabrillo Avenue or Cabrillo Avenue. Is it possible she was having issues with her vehicle? And that's why she was sticking to those neighborhoods, because she didn't want to get out on the main road. I'm just going to leave you with that theory. Please comment what you think about that if you feel comfortable. Take a look at some of the links that I've added into the description box. But at this point, I feel like I need to stop. I feel like something's telling me just leave it. I was trying to get the exact location and find the route that she would have taken to see if I could make any of it fit better to present it to you. And when I went into my maps, probably about the 10th or 11th time, in that same location, there was a huge glitch all of a sudden. And it was in the area that I was looking on the maps. And there was a bunch of digitized pieces of my thumbnails on Anne Heche. It looked like a big glitch at first. So it looked like a bunch of little, I really wish I took a picture of it with my phone because I wouldn't have been able to do it. I have an old MacBook and so you can't screenshot on it. But I was just so blown away by it. And I was trying to get rid of it. And then I started thinking this is really, really weird. So it just looked like a big glitch at first. But when I zoomed in, they were all little pieces of my Anne Heche thumbnails. And it was just the weirdest thing I have ever seen. And it could be that it was my old computer. I have two MacBooks. I have a MacBook that's over 10 years old. And then I have a brand new MacBook that I got last year when I started doing this, when I started making videos, because the old one was just not going to cut it. So it could have just been a glitch on my old MacBook, but it's really odd to me that the glitch was all Anne Heche thumbnails when I have tons of things on that computer. Like I said, it's 10 years old. It has tons of stuff on it. I don't really believe in coincidences. So it did spook me. And because of that, I'm not going to do any more research on this, but I do feel like I've given you guys enough information for you to dig on your own if you want to. I really don't think digging is the problem. I think piecing it together for sharing purposes is the problem. That being said, it could just be a coincidence, but it spooked me enough. And while I took a break from this case, I dug into another case, and that video is ready for editing. So I will be editing that and putting that video out next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay safe, healthy, happy, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.